Hey George, it's good to have you on. You've been part of my trading circle to some degree for around 3 or 4 years, and I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions about your trading journey to get a good understanding of your ups, your downs, challenges that you've faced, and how you've overcome them. So, for those that are watching this, first, just tell us about yourself. How old are you? Where are you from? I know you've moved house recently to a different country. So, where are you originally from, and where are you now? And how long have you been trading for?
Yeah. Thank you, mate. Very glad to be on, to chat to you as well. But yeah, no, I'm 29 years old. I'm originally from Bulgaria. I moved to London when I was about 10 years old, and I lived there for about 19 years. But this year, I decided to move back to Bulgaria. So still settling in. I've been here for about a month and a half now. So, still figuring some things out and stuff like that. But overall, I've been trading for about 9 years. Kind of started when I was at uni. Kind of got hooked into it from Twitter and seeing people make, crazy amounts of money from there. I think that's kind of how like a lot of us got hooked onto trading initially before kind of understanding, kind of the difficulties behind it, that there's a lot more that goes behind, you know, behind trading other than just like clicking buy or sell. So
Yeah, that's what the outsiders think it is.
exactly, yeah. Yeah, people think that it's all just like buy, sell, Lambos everywhere. So
That's it. That's it. That's possible, but it's after years of struggle, right?
exactly,
And that,
exactly.
that feeds into the next question that what kind of trading strategies or systems have you used up until now? And there's loads of different ways to trade, and the
Mhm.
way that you and I trade is almost identical now. And there are other strategies that work, but which ones have you tried in the past, and potentially why have you not resonated with them?
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of tried a bit of everything. Like I've tried trend lines, I've tried different patterns like triangles, like head and shoulders. I think at one point I went through literally all of baby pips and I had like two big notebooks full of everything that they're teaching there. So I've tried that. I've tried trading NFP, both like having buy limits and sell limits on NFP. I've pretty much done it all. Um,
Picked it
but
all off.
now, exactly, yeah. But now I've kind of settled, similar to how you trade with liquidity and trying to keep it as simple as possible, to be honest. I think that's kind of what I realized at one point that for me, the simpler my trading method is, the better. I don't want to sit there like over analyzing, overthinking whether it's a good position or not. I kind of want to get to the charts, know what I'm looking for, wait for that to happen, and just trade.
Absolutely. You said something that was really key, that it's trying to keep it simple. And
Mm,
I've been saying this quite a lot in the group actually, that traders have to go through that process of trying lots of different things and testing things and going through that complexity of it. Just like you have over the last 8, 9 years, you've tried all sorts of different trading strategies and patterns and indicators and stuff, and I have too. We all go through that. And then it gets to a point where you've tried so much that you realize what does work for you and what doesn't work for you, because everyone's different. And then you simplify it and you find a structure that works. So the next question I've got is, if you were to just bump into a stranger on the street and you were wearing like a trader's t-shirt that said trader, and they went, "Oh, what's that? What strategy do you trade?" Like, how would you respond in like 30 seconds or less?
oh my God. I would say I'll focus on higher time frame liquidity. I look for I try to trade with the trend. I try to pretty much trade as safe as possible. Although when I have profit, I do take a lot more risk entries as well. But yeah, just basically follow the 4 hour, and then from there on, once the 4 hour is clear, once there is a trend, then I jump down to the 15 minute, and then I take continuations again with the trend the majority of the time. As the old saying goes, the trend is your friend.
Yeah, absolutely. It's probably the first thing that I was ever taught like 11 years ago, and it's the one thing that really stands out today. It's one of the first things we look at, right? Like
Mhm.
you and I will. well, I mean, that's the next question is the assets that you trade. I know that you trade three or four different assets, and so do I, but it doesn't mean we're trading all of them in one day. We're finding the cleanest markets and specifically the cleanest trends, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly that. For me, the DAX, like ever since I stopped trading currencies and I started trading the DAX, like again, like that for me, that's been like night and day. For me, like I used to love trading the Euro USD, pound dollar as well, but ever since going on to the DAX, it's been like so much easier. Again, the trends are a lot cleaner, a lot nicer. Like I would say like maybe 85% of my trading is on the DAX. And
Mhm.
then every now and again, I'll trade the S&P 500 or I'll trade the US 30. Sometimes I might trade gold as well, but that's very, very rare. So yeah, the majority of my profits and my trades would be on the DAX.
Yeah, awesome. So moving over from Forex to indices, which is something that you did 2024, similar time to
Yeah.
me. And like, we'll go, there's some slight differences and nuances to how we trade now compared to then. But most of all, the structure, the way we look at trend, the way we look at higher time frame liquidity, like you mentioned earlier, it's pretty much the same. It's just the
Mhm.
markets are so much clearer. So there's definitely value in there. Anyone watching this that's struggling, that is trading Forex, just because that's typically the journey. Everyone kind of starts trading Forex first. They think, oh, Forex trading, so it's all about Forex, right? And
Yeah.
then you realize that there's much more trending environments in an index versus a currency. And then
Mhm.
also there's more volatility in the stock market, for example, than in currency. So we get to see bigger moves in a shorter space of time. And also more volatility, in my opinion, helps for a better trend.
Yeah, yeah, no, like 100%. Like I was seeing the DAX trend for like months and months on end, and it's very easy to be profitable when you have such a nice trendy market. Whether you wait for liquidity sweeps on a 4 hour or you just take continuations on the 15 minute. When you have such a market, it's so much easier to trade that way. And even when you have pullbacks, the pullbacks don't tend to be too deep. You kind of return to the trend fairly soon again. So you take some pretty easy trades that, quite a lot of
Yeah.
the time.
And like DAX, just recently, which is the early June 25, that we've seen a pullback, high time frame
Hmm.
pullback on DAX to the downside, but we trended for like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and we just
Yeah.
continued selling. So we're happy with a pullback in a trending market as long as it's clean, and DAX amongst the other indices are is very clean for that. Absolutely. Is there a particular session that you like to trade? London, New York?
I would say New York, mainly because like around the 2:30 UK time, that's usually when quite a lot of volatility comes in. And yeah, I'll say that's my preferred session. But I've still taken trades in London session as well. I still have profitable trades during London. But I'll say New York for me as well, it's a little bit easier purely because like I do work as well full time. So sometimes in the morning I would wake up and like I might have to do like some work and there might be something urgent. Whereas usually by New York session it's a little bit more chill. I've already done the important things for the day, so I can kind of focus a little bit more on trading itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you work full time or part time? How do your hours at work affect trading, if at all?
Yeah, I work full time. I've actually found that for myself in particular, every time I work full time, every time I have a full time job, that's when I'm actually the most profitable, and that's because I have no pressure to actually make money from trading.
Mm,
Whereas because I've tried a few times to be trading full time, when I've been funded with like 50K or even like 100K. But I think eventually the pressure kind of gets to me when I have maybe a few slower months or a few unprofitable months. I think that will get fixed if I'm, for example, fully funded with like FTMO, or if I have different sources of income, then it'll be a different story. But I think for the time being, working full time actually helps me like mentally to not put pressure on the trading because if there's no trade for like 2, 3 days, like it really doesn't matter to me. Even if there's no trading for like a whole week, again, it doesn't matter to me. I just try and find the best setups possible. In terms of work interfering with my trading, I want to say that it does. Like I would say every now and again it does, but 80% of the time it doesn't. Purely
Hmm.
because like especially now I work remotely. Now that I've moved, I've kept the job that I had in London. So now I work remotely. So whenever there's a trade, I can always spare like 5, 10 minutes to just focus on the actual trading to see how the candle closes and whether I want to set the order or not before returning back to work.
That's great. So you literally work remotely. So as long as you've got a
Mhm.
laptop and presumably a phone, occasionally your employer's happy, you get the job done, but you have the
Exactly.
freedom to be able to look at the second laptop or a second screen, just pop up
Mhm.
trading view and the alert triggers, right?
Exactly. The other, so the most useful thing TradingView has come out with.
Absolutely. That and trading sessions to know like
Yes.
this is the hours I'm going to trade, and inside that I'm only going to look at it if my alert goes off. That's great.
Exactly.
So what I mean, your trading kind of journey so far is quite a long time at the moment.
hmm
So like up to now, so what kind of challenges would you say that you've faced over that 8 or 9 year period up to now? What's been the biggest challenges that you've faced?
I would say the majority of them have been psychology, in terms of over trading or just spending too much time on the actual charts. I think those have kind of been the biggest hurdles. But I think over time, just as the years have gone on, like I've kind of trained myself to just purely not look at the charts. Like I know it's very simple to say to somebody, don't look at the charts all day, but when you're actually trading, when you want to make money from trading, it's very hard to actually do that. And I found myself struggling with that for maybe the first 4 or 5 years. I would always have the charts open. I would always like be itching to take a trade. I had to
Hmm.
kind of learn the hard way by losing many challenges
Hmm.
and also working on my psychology. Like I've taken specifically trading psychology courses like Traders Mental Edge, for example, which have helped me quite a lot to kind of like know why I'm doing those things and to kind of ask myself like, okay, like is this beneficial to me? How do I overcome it? What kind of stops do I put in place to kind of, stop that habit from continuing, you
Yeah.
know? But yeah, I'll say again, the majority of my challenges have been psychology rather than strategy. Of course, like the strategy is very, very important as well. I do believe that some strategies suit some people better than others. For me, I want something simple, something that's straightforward, something that I can understand, liquidity concepts. I've used other strategies before which incorporate liquidity concepts as well. So it wasn't anything that was like crazy new to me. So it's
Hmm.
very easy to kind of to get the hang of it and to kind of make it like my own a little bit. Like now I know when I want to be a little bit more risk averse or when I want to be a little bit more risky and what kind of trades I want to take, depending on whether I'm in profit or whether I'm in drawdown and such.
Yeah, yeah, like readjusting your risk
Hmm
based on whether you're at the starting balance in a challenge or a freshly funded
Yeah.
account, or whether, like you say, you're in drawdown, you want to reduce your risk until you get back into starting balance, and then you can increase your
hmm
risk. Or just from starting balance, which is something that I like to do, just to trade like 0.5% risk to have like a profit buffer. And then when you get, a couple of $1,000 or a couple of percent in that account, that's when you can increase it to 1%. Very rarely go above 1% myself, but I know that
Yeah.
you do that too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Usually with challenges, it depends on what kind of a challenge I'm doing. Like if it's like a 50K challenge, for example, then I'm happy to start the challenge with like a full 1% risk. Whereas if I'm doing like let's say if I were to do like a 200K challenge, then I'll be a little bit more cautious because again, like I know. the amount shouldn't really matter. But I also know myself that it does matter even if it's a little bit. So I don't want that to kind of like affect the kind of trades that I'm taking. So that's when I would start with like, 0.5% risk. But yeah, usually challenges I do full 1% risk. If I go down, if I go into drawdown of like let's say around like -5, then I'll drop to half risk until I get back to break even again. With funded accounts, I always do 0.5%. I never go beyond that purely because once I'm funded, that's like very important to me. So, I try everything I can not to lose it. Even recently, like on one of my funded accounts, I went down to around -5%, but then I slowly made that back. I was back to break even, and then I even got a payout from that, and now I'm waiting on another payout from that same account again. And I also scaled. I was able to scale up that account as well with FTMO. So for me, being a drawdown is not the end of the world. I know that with my strategy, with me sticking to the strategy, to how I know I can trade, I can always get back to break even and make profit.
Absolutely. Drawdowns is a normal thing, and even 4 or 5% drawdown, you can make that back in realistically one trade.
Yeah, exactly. I think for me, you want to talk about like free trades to get back to break even from like -5%. So again, like it's not the end of the world. Sometimes like we all do stupid things in terms of like maybe we take risky trades when we're not really supposed to, or the market is just like not really moving how we expect it to move. I think losses are normal, and I think sometimes, like for me, example, I went deep into my drawdown, up to -5% because I was moving countries. My mind was
Mm.
not fully on trading.
Yeah.
I was packing things away. I was sending things to Bulgaria. I was dealing with like, with my work, asking whether I even can work from abroad. So there was many things on my mind and I wasn't fully focused on trading. But once I got settled in a little bit, that's when I was fully focused on my trading, and that's when I made it all back and I made profit and so on.
And that's exact testament to psychology and trading does matter. A lot
Exactly.
of people say it doesn't. So let's talk about the funding then. So I know you've obviously got funding, you've had payouts, I've seen them, you've just been
Mhm.
speaking about it then. For those watching this that don't know, who you funded with and approximately how much allocation do you have and what kind of regular payouts have you been having? You don't need to tell us monetary amount, but has it been consistent payouts since this year?
Yeah, I would say so. I think it's been about between I'll say 1 to 2 payouts every month. It's pretty much been a payout every 2 weeks, which I think which is when like how often FTMO allows you to have a payout.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
So yeah, up until maybe I would say the end of April, which is when I fully decided to move. And I think for May I had like literally no payouts at all. And now for June I'm waiting for my second payout this Friday.
That's
So yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah, it's
Love
been
it.
pretty consistent, about 2 payouts per month, except in May.
That's great. How does it feel to be withdrawing regular payouts from trading?
Oh, absolutely amazing. Because to me, like up until maybe like last year, I did not have that. I would have like maybe like one payout every 2.5 months, or every 3 to 4 months. So it would be very like inconsistent. Whereas
Mm.
now to be consistently making money from trading, that's kind of like the dream, right? Whether it's like 1K or 2K, like or 3K, like even though it might be small amounts to some people, like it's still amazing. The thing like having consistent payouts does amazing thing for your psychology. Um, and yeah, it's amazing.
I mean, that's the goal, isn't it? Obviously, the money, and then we use the money to do the things that make us happy. The money itself doesn't make us happy, but it creates opportunity. And once you start receiving profits from your trading, it makes all those years of work and struggle and sacrifice worth it. So it is literally the reward for your hard work and effort.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%.
What would you say has been, because there's probably not one turning point, but have there been like any standing out points in your trading journey that have helped you to go from that transitional period from obviously it's been a while since you've been an inconsistent trader, but you were kind of like break even for a while and then taking a payout like, once every 2 to 3 months, but now you're taking payout every month, sometimes multiple times every month. What's been
Mhm.
the biggest things that you can think, other than psychology, that you think
Mhm.
stand out?
I would say that I say one main thing would be like overtrading. Of course, like overtrading is psychology, but just for me, learning and realizing that I don't need to trade every day. That's been like a huge thing. The other thing I would say has been the strategy as well. Just keeping it really simple and knowing exactly what I'm looking for every single day. Like keeping to the higher time frame and just keeping with the trend as well. That's been like a huge thing. Of course, I do take trades against the trend every now and again, but that's only when I have like a natural reason to do so. Whether there's been like a daily sweep and we've had like a good reaction from that daily sweep, but we haven't broken the 4 hour yet. Like if the 4 hour is still bearish, but we've had a daily sweep, then I might then sometimes I feel okay to go against the 4 hour trend because we've had a nice reaction and so on and so on.
Mm,
But overall, just keeping with the trend and having a nice simple strategy, waiting for high time frame liquidity sweeps as well. Those things have just allowed me to kind of have peace of mind when I'm trading.
sounds great. Yeah, and I agree with all of that. Absolutely. And finally, what advice would you give to either someone else that's not quite made it yet to consistency, or perhaps what advice would you give to yourself this time, possibly last year, knowing now what you know about becoming as profitable as you are now?
I would say find a strategy that keeps it very simple. Find a strategy that you align with. And another big thing would be don't quit your job to do trading. You need to do things which take the pressure away from your trading rather than put more pressure onto your trading. It's absolutely fine to have a full-time job and to trade at the same time. The majority of people nowadays, they work from their laptop. They don't have to go into the office every single day. Like I got funded and I had consistent payouts like every single month while going to the office 4 days a week. So if I can do that and get funded and have consistent payouts, then other people can do that as well. Like I was literally trading with my manager like sitting right opposite me. So like I found the strategy that worked for that sort of environment, and I just stuck with it. And I made sure I didn't overtrade. I only stuck to the strategy, to high probability setups as well, and yeah, and it worked. So yeah, that would be my advice for other people as well.
Excellent. And what would you say since because you've been closely working with me, you've been part of my kind of inner circle for about 3 years or so, but you've been working more closely with me, either one on one or in a very tight knit group that we've got for how long do you think now? Maybe the last 6 months.
Yeah.
What would you say is the main value from that? Have you got much value from me out of that that's helped accelerate your trading? Because you were doing well before, but has it accelerated your trading much?
Oh yeah. I'll say it definitely did. I would say seeing how you trade alone has helped me like a lot as well because obviously you've been consistent for a very long time. You've had like huge payouts as well. You're somebody that I look up to as well in terms of like how you think about trading, how you look at the market as well. I think that's been the main thing, being on those calls every single week with you and seeing why you took those trades and like how you thought about the market, why you stayed out of trades as well. I think that's been a huge benefit. Knowing when to stay out of the market is just as important as knowing when to be in the market, when to be involved. So I'd say yeah, those have been like the main things as well. And whenever I've had questions about whether this sort of liquidity is good or that sort of liquidity is good or anything trading related, you've always responded like very quickly and properly explained everything because I know I've been in programs like before, like many programs before, and I've had, like mentors before as well who they kind of tell you to just go and back test, go and back test, you know. But it's one thing to say go and back test, but it's another thing to say, okay, like to explain why you did something, show
You're like,
examples.
what are you looking for when you back test?
Exactly, exactly. And then to maybe, and then like you even told me before as well to, you know, after you've explained something to me, to go and back test it in the like, you know, on trading view, but then to also kind of like report back to you, you know, show you the examples, show you my findings, and then you kind of respond to that as well. So very kind of like hands-on, which I've, you know, it's been incredibly helpful.
Excellent. That's satisfying to know. And so what's the next goal then? What are you looking at doing now? So you're obviously funded, you're getting payouts.
Mhm.
You talked about earlier your employment helping with your psychology because obviously you don't need to survive from
Mhm.
trading at the moment because the employment at least covers the basics. Lifestyle covers the overhead, so it takes the stress away, right? So your trading
Mhm.
profits, I guess, at the moment are kind of bonus money, either for a holiday or going out for a nice meal, or you just save it and reinvest some of that at least into more challenges. Is there a goal to be allocated at a higher level?
Oh yeah, 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 100%. I think my first goal is to be fully funded with FTMO. You know, for me, FTMO has always been the most reputable company. It's been there for many years. So fully funded with FTMO. I do want to get up to 1 million in funding this year. Again, it's a goal. It's not anything that would be rushing into. Nowadays, when I take challenges, I like to take them one by one
Mhm.
to pass the challenge, get funded, and then onto the next challenge. So that's my those are kind of my two trading goals. Um, Also, I am moving places. Me and my girlfriend are moving into kind of our own place in October, and there'll be
Awesome.
renovations to be made. A lot of renovations will need to be made. So
Yes.
a lot of the money that's coming in now from trading, you know, quite a big chunk of it is going into savings, and will go into those renovations in October.
Exciting times.
Yeah,
I'll
very
take some
exciting time.
photos.
Yeah, 100%, definitely. I think in terms of employment, exactly as you said, like for now, I'm have to be, you know, to be full-time employed. You know, my work doesn't really give me stress. You know, I do marketing, so I enjoy the things that I'm doing. I enjoy the people that I'm working with as well, especially now doing it remotely and being able to trade like even more. I'm perfectly happy with that. I think eventually I do want to open up a few businesses here in Bulgaria because I've realized that there's a lot of opportunities here.
Mhm.
There's a lot of gaps in the market
I like that.
in Bulgaria. So yeah, I'll be doing quite a bit of that eventually, probably next year more you know more than this year. And this year the focus is the move and being funded a lot more.
So potentially, once the move's out the way, you save the trading profits to invest into a business that's
Yeah.
maybe already established, or start your own business, and then
Mhm.
eventually, when that really takes off, that replaces your employment income, so you're fully self-reliant at that point, and then
That's the goal.
you just keep scaling from there. That's exactly what I did. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that's excellent. I love that, and I hope that I'd be able to help you on your journey to becoming 1 million in funded by the end of this year. I certainly have a goal at the moment to be over 1 million in funded just futures alone
Mhm.
in the next few months, and I'm sure I'll be able to persuade you over to futures. And
You
soon
probably
as
will. I have no doubt.
I think we'll be talking about this over the next few days and next few weeks, and I'll get you over there, that's for sure. Awesome to have you on, George, and thanks for your time.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, mate. It's been amazing.